Hi everyone, it's Kasia from Tarot Map, and this is 2021, and we're starting the Inspired Tarot Map this year with Hania. Hania, I didn't ask your surname. Can you please introduce yourself?
Nice to meet you guys, and I'm Hania Trikwar. I'm an illustrator from Poland, and I'm currently creating my tarot deck or making it come true. So,
Yes, thank you. I have invited Hania to Inspired Tarot Map, first of all, because she's Polish. You guys know that I'm Polish, and I love support. I love to support creators who, first of all, love tarot, that make tarot decks or oracle decks, and then that they have something around their tarot deck creation that inspires me. So with Hania, it was two things. The first one, that she's Polish, and I would love to support more Polish artists to come out into the world of tarot. And the second one is what the kind of backstory or the inspiration behind Hania's tarot deck was, which was a little bit more about tarot for body awareness and
self-love.
yeah, and more. We will be talking about it, right? So I do not have the deck to show you because the deck is not ready yet, and the deck is currently on Kickstarter for another 30 days.
Yes.
So if you watch it, if you haven't backed yet, and if you find it interesting, you can go on, check the Kickstarter campaign and support it. And the link will be below in the description box. And if you just want to listen and experience what Hania has to share with us, then please stay with us and let's start. So Hania, before we talk about tarot, I always ask about the ancestry. So where are you from, and who are your ancestors? Do you know?
So, as you know, I'm from Poland. I live in Wrocław, which is one of the most beautiful cities in Poland. I was very lucky in that topic. My family is very open-minded, and so I was lucky again, especially coming from Poland, as we know. I don't really have any siblings, so I'm the only child. Well, I guess.
Do you know Hania about your ancestors? Are they all Polish? And they've been living in Poland.
Part of my family comes from Ukraine, because it was quite common practice before, especially that Wrocław used to be Breslau, which is German city, and another city in Ukraine, Lvov, used to be Polish, but after the war, we shifted the borders, and my family was traveling from Ukraine in the train with the animals. My grandma was 2 at that time, and they were just allocated in Poland without being questioned actually if they want to or not. Yeah. Some part of my family still lives in Ukraine. I don't really have so much contact with them, but yeah. And the side of my father is, I don't really know about anything more.
No, but that's interesting, and it was a common practice because I remember going to Wrocław, and actually, even hearing the Eastern Poland accents, because I'm from Lublin, so I'm on the other side, very close to the Ukraine. And it was fun. I was wondering, and of course, knowing the history of the relocations after the war, that actually the Western Poland, which was Germany but became Poland,
I think it's very interesting.
People from the Eastern Bloc, even more from the east of the country and the Ukraine, and it was interesting.
So because of that, I have a feeling that Wrocław is kind of like a little bit of a mix, because some people from Germany stayed, some people from Ukraine came, and some people from Poland also came. It wasn't really loved after the war, I think, because as we know, Warsaw was destroyed, and Wrocław was used as people used the bricks from Wrocław to rebuild Warsaw. because it wasn't Polish city and Warsaw was obviously the capital city. So it was more important. But well, this is also the charm of Wrocław, because I think if you ever come and visit the streets, you can see this contrast in architecture as well. It's like moving through the time. You can see the old buildings, some churches, some like really old beautiful buildings, and then you can see the nasty communistic blocks just next to them, and then very modern, made of glass, completely different era, and it's just on one street next to each other, and it really creates some weird, you know, very weird combination. But I think it's also like showing us the history of the place, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I actually really like Wrocław as well. I think it's really cool, and I love when all the cities like Berlin. That's why Berlin is so cool, because you have that
also the
mix of like the communistic and socialist and then the Western Germany then, and in one city. It was just like, yeah, fascinating. Okay, so welcome to the Poles. We're just all Polish here. So the backdrop to your tarot deck. So you an artist? How come even you are you doing art? Like how come you decided to make a tarot deck particularly, but in general, are you like artistically minded? Like tell us a little bit about that background of your like artistic background, maybe.
Okay, so first of all, I'm not really schooled as an artist. I'm a biologist, and I'm also currently doing a PhD in biology. So this is multitasking.
Awesome. It's like with Wrocław, That's
exactly.
amazing about the people. Here you have the tarot and here you have the science. I love it. Some of my friends in the tarot community are like this too.
Yeah. So for me, nature is very important, and that's why it's appearing in my tarot deck as well. But I started to well, everyone is drawing at some point in their life as a child or something, and I really liked it. I just never thought this could be something I do professionally. I never thought about this in a serious way. So I was always drawing as a kid, but like, the cliche story of someone who's now an artist or does something manually, but it was never anything serious. And then well, I met my now husband, and he's an adult man, and he likes to draw, and he was drawing, and I was like, man, like I wasted so much time not drawing during the university time or high school, because I was just like, why bother? And it was always making me happy, but somehow I stopped. And after like meeting him and seeing that an adult can also draw for pleasure, I started to do it, and it really changed a lot in my I would say state of mind. For me, it was very therapeutic. I started to work with clay. I started to paint, and it was just really like going for therapy and just letting the bad energy out from my hands and not thinking and just focusing on what I'm doing. It was just beautiful. And as my tarot deck's topic is self-love and like body positivity, you can probably guess that I suffered from some body issues, some issues with my body, with my appearance. I guess it's quite common, but still, it's a struggle for everyone who's going through this. At some point, I was suffering from like a feeding disorder, this kind of stuff, and I didn't really know what to do. I think in Poland, mental health is quite stigmatized as well. It's not, something that you care about, I would say.
We don't talk about, for sure.
Exactly.
Maybe people care about it, but it's kind of quite silent subject.
Yeah, it's a taboo topic. So I was thinking like, am I getting crazy? Is it like wrong? It was very, very difficult for me at that time. And then I started to paint these curvy girls that were representation.
Could you show, Hania, just so people who've never seen it just know
I will
what we're talking about?
This is from the tarot. This is, I hope you can see it. Yeah. This is the magician. And as you can see, she's curvy, and you know, she has hairy legs. And well, it's me. At least, you know, depending on the day, this is how I was feeling. And you know, after starting to draw this kind of girls, I was feeling not so bad about it. I was like, so what, you know, she has hairy legs, she has stretch marks, and she's still beautiful, you know, she can still smile, because the girls usually smile on my drawings. And this became like a journey of like self-acceptance, and it really changed a lot. Here, another girl.
Go to the speaker. Yeah.
Yeah. So they are, you know, they are as they are. And I started also to create some postcards, not related with tarot, but with, you know, like these topics of like just being confident in your body. And I could see that people, when they saw the postcards, they were, you know, smiling. So for me, this was I was like, okay, yeah, exactly. So you can find yourself, you can relate. And this is very important, because I just want people to feel like we are all accepted, we can all just feel good, and it doesn't really matter the way we look. This was the important part for me.
Yeah, that's why I think I found, except that you're Polish, I found this kind of message that you want to put across really important, because I also like, I find it important for women specifically to free themselves, or ourselves, you know, to free ourselves from that kind of glamorization of the body, sexualization of our bodies, that invisible norm that who the fuck knows where it is, but we're all striving somewhere. And I think it affects basically every woman, even if you're a model, if you even like, you know, like I would be surprised sometimes talking to like amazingly beautiful women with like body that I would, you know, pay to have, right? And yet they would still have some complexes or something. And I was just like, where is it coming from? You know, that it's so hard for us to just accept our bodies as they are. And I think you're right, like every one of us somehow struggled at some point with this, to a lesser or a bigger extent. And I always love supporting artwork also that is outside of that I'm pretty skinny and, you know, modelized kind of version of female bodies, because it's not fucking true. Like I just, yeah. Also,
Yeah.
once I think we were talking, sorry, just to finish once we were talking about, you know, the nakedness also in some way, this kind of Puritan strange way of robbing us of feeling naturally okay with our naked bodies. And especially I think in the countries like Poland, but maybe in Europe it's even less so. But I think in the US, when often I hear from artists that, you know, you couldn't put certain image of that big hairy-legged lady that is asexualized in this sense, but you couldn't put it on the image of your Kickstarter campaign because it's nudity.
Yeah,
So this is
exactly.
something.
This also happened to me. Exactly. I wanted to use this illustration, which is, you know, my favorite card. It's the world. I think it's beautiful. I think, you know, as I'm a biologist, the world for me was represented by the nature. So like Mother Nature and, you know, the universe, everything. So I couldn't use it because you can see a little bit of like, you know, vagina and the boobs.
Yeah.
But I don't really, you know, looking at my illustrations, I don't find them sexual. I think they are like kind of, I don't know, like, okay, even here, you know, you have the girl, she's naked, but um, it doesn't make you horny. I don't think so, you know. This is something that just, you just look at her and you're like, okay, yeah, she's confident and she has, you know, some stretch marks. And I'm not saying that she's unattractive. I'm just saying that it's not like sexually charged, you know. It's not like inappropriate for kids. I don't really think. I think, you know, saying that you know, children shouldn't see, you know, boobs or something. Well, obviously at some point maybe there is, you know, different levels of the spectrum, but I don't think that this is going to harm anyone seeing, you know, soggy boobs on a girl doing yoga in the sunrise. So
well, I would even go further in my assessment that I don't see anything harmful in showing like a proper human body. But to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
back
I
your
agree. I
story with
agree.
like production, I showed you this deck,
Yeah,
but this is the Inner Queen Oracle by Letty Luna.
yeah,
And she couldn't put it on certain printing sites for people to just upload and purchase because of nudity, and there is even no heads, like
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I know. I struggle with the same. It's the same with Facebook and Instagram. When I put this kind of illustrations, I can't, maybe my post will be rejected just because it's someone naked, and it's really, making my job as like starting illustrator harder because
yeah,
it's the tool that I'm using the most, obviously, Instagram. So, all these limitations that's, I really don't feel like I'm doing something wrong with these illustrations. I don't think like there is, I'm trying to bring the positivity, like to give you confidence with those illustrations. And it's sometimes really a struggle. So the illustration that's on my Kickstarter is this one, because it was one of the few that doesn't have a naked lady. So thankfully, I somehow knew that this could be an issue. I don't know, like few illustrations don't have naked lady. So this is why I could do this Kickstarter, in general, because,
wow,
know.
it's quite incredible, actually. I kind of like, it's mind-blowing for me how backward that whole thing is about this. But anyway, could you please show us a few more images? So these are the originals that you did, right?
Yes.
And then you photographed those for the cards, yeah?
Yes, exactly. These are the original illustrations. They are made with watercolor. And I think you can see the gold
The
heart,
gold.
for example, here. Exactly.
So the gold will be also on the printed cards, right?
It will be. I have like, the sample cards. They don't have the gold details. It's just printed, on the like normal paper with just for me, just so I have it, so I can see the size and stuff. I tried to put some gold on these little cards. I think it's gonna look more or less like this. So I think it's really, this was very important for me, that the quality of the print is going to be high, and you can see those.
Yeah, I like this gold. It actually adds
Yeah,
that extra, and makes it a little bit more not one-dimensional, like gives a bit
yeah.
of, yeah.
Yeah, I think, the details are small, and I don't think it's too much. I think it works with those cards. It's going to be on the front and the back of the card. The back of the card looks like this. There are the moons, and the moons will also be gold. So yeah, this is and also here, another original maybe. This is the Wheel of Fortune.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Always, like, it's so magical to see the originals.
Yeah.
There is just something special about the original art in
Yeah,
every.
and honestly, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm planning to make an exhibition at some point. Now with the COVID, it's a little more complicated because people can't really go. The galleries in Poland are closed right now. We will see how it will develop, and hopefully at some point I can do it.
Well, if you do it, I'm coming to Warsaw, to Warsaw, to Wrocław. Hey, I wanted to show you something about that original art. Do you know this deck called? Sorry. This deck called Mysteries of Mary tarot deck.
No.
It's the deck that was made from like
Okay.
little altars, okay? And
Mhm.
this is different scenes from different apparitions, different like Mary related altars. And because I know the creator, she has sent me one of the originals.
Wow.
And that she made like 78 of those amazing altars. And I think she went to France once, and she bought like in one of the old markets, like
Yeah.
a box full of old dolls and like all these different kind of little toys and stuff. So that kind of inspired her to do the
It's amazing.
altars.
I love this kind of like, well, I hope she won't be offended, because I think this was maybe the purpose, but like, the beautiful
Yes.
image. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. No, she won't be offended. She
I
loves it
I
too.
I like to say that I like I don't know how to say it, not to be offensive, but I find my art the same way, like ugly pretty.
Yeah.
There are certain like artists that don't really focus on like making stuff, you know, perfectly. And this is also something for me, like the imperfections are perfect, and this is also beautiful. That's why I also use watercolor, because you can't really control it fully, you know. You put it on the water and it just goes where it wants, and it's making some weird stuff. And for me, this was like, yeah, exactly what I needed for this, you know, to see this like small imperfections that just make it more special, more personal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love this kind of stuff in art. Like my husband has different, you know, we always like go to separate sections in bookshops when we are looking for some, I don't know, comics or something, where I'm going into like the weird and he's going into the, you know, very aesthetically and beautifully done. There are a few artists that I'm just like, wow, you know, like you can see that a lot of work went into this, but at the same time it's like pretending to be done by someone who doesn't really care, and this is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I love that too. I remember my mother. I'm not saying that I'm one of those people, but that just reminded me of the story when I was in high school, maybe, or beginning of uni. And I used to dress, but I always wanted to look a bit different than normal. So I would spend like an hour in front of the mirror, and my mother used to say, like, you spend an hour in front of a mirror and then you look like you would just throw shit on top of yourself, you know, without any thought of or merit. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of that story. But if we were to, could you actually show us a few more maybe of the images?
Oh yeah, of course.
Just for people to, you know, get a little bit more sense of it. I think the background story and the intention behind the deck, and they also were like, in a sense, it was like your self-healing process. They were your portraits, in a sense, you know, like you would be showing, like maybe I show the speaker view, just one sec.
So this is the full. And also, I don't know if this is something that I discovered, and I feel super proud of it. You know, there's the Beatles song, "The Fool on the Hill," and I feel like it's about this tarot card, because he's saying day after day, a fool on the hill, and in the original tarot deck, the fool is on the hill actually. So it makes sense, you know. I think it really was the inspiration for this song. And this is the star.
Oh, I love her.
And let's go with the moon. Also, I mean, I guess you can guess that I was trying to also be kind of like a little humoristic about these cards, you know. As I said, my girl, she doesn't really take herself so seriously. So, well, in Poland, you know, you can say moon for the ass. So the sun is, you know, reversed moon, and the moon is also girl showing her ass. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that too, actually, that humoristic approach. We take ourselves like way too seriously most of the times, and yeah, the universe doesn't really resolve around us, so we could just chill out a little bit more.
This is the Empress.
Oh, I wanted to say, is this the devil? This is the Empress. So tell us about this one a bit. Like, why is the Empress so wild?
You know, she's she's strong. She's just not going to take any bullshit. And this is how I wanted her to feel, like fierce, you know?
I like it.
So, and I feel like, because this is the Emperor, so this is one of the few men that I have in my deck. And I feel like, you know, she's bigger than him. She's stronger than him in this deck. And like, you can feel more power when you look at this card, I feel. Like, she's just stronger. And, you know, I feel like we have to also acknowledge the fact that girls are strong, and, you know, there's a lot of space for that, I think. And there's nothing wrong in being strong. And also for guys to sometimes be vulnerable. Like, this is also.
I agree. It goes both ways. Yeah,
exactly.
I actually quite like the both as a couple, because he felt strong, but in the soft way.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
And yeah, I think we need to develop new language, because, you know, like in English, for example, we say like grow the balls.
Yeah, exactly.
Grow the vagina, so
yeah, sometimes
something different.
yeah. And some of the cards maybe just, you know, from the small arcana, the minor arcana. So here we have the wands.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I
Also,
really like that gold.
you can see the gold. Yeah, not always on the pictures is visible, but it's going to be there on every card. So, you know, little piece of gold everywhere. This is the princess.
So you
She
picked
also-
for the court cards. Did you draw any humans, or are they mostly?
Yes, I did. I do have for the princess and the knight. I have birds. The princesses, they have boobs. I know that birds don't have boobs, but
You're a
in my
biologist.
cards, I'm biologist, so you know it doesn't come from thinking that they do, but I just thought that why not, you know. And then the queen and the king, they are human with the head of the bird
Okay.
that is in this particular card. So I have the colibri for the wands. Well, I don't know the name of this bird, but you know, the peacock
Peacock, peacock.
for the pentacles, and then swan for swords, and swallow for cups.
I like the swan for swords. They fierce. They
Yeah,
fierce guys.
there you go.
Yeah,
One swan.
wonderful. Wow. No, I love that.
This is also a girl. She also has boobs. So
We can't really see here because I think
I don't know
it's
if
too
you can
blurry.
see.
Oh,
There
yes,
you
now we can.
go.
So for anyone who is interested, also you can see all of the cards on the Kickstarter campaign page, and the deck is all ready, right? You don't have
Yeah,
to
all the
finish it.
illustrations are ready. The box cover is ready. Also, I'm writing a guidebook for this cards. It's not gonna be. It's more, I would say, for a person that still tries to find herself and needs some, maybe, you know, something that I needed when I was painting this cards. So there will be some tips on mindfulness, on how to find positivity, how to relax. It's not going to be so maybe so detailed on the meaning of the cards. Obviously, I will explain them and show some ideas of how to interpret them yourself. But I was thinking that this deck could be more for like self meditation, like self exploring, and finding some balance. You know, the work and life, like social life kind of balance, just by like letting go a little bit. So I will put some tips in the book on how to, you know, also I'm not a specialist, I'm not like yoga master or something, but some simple exercises that you can do by yourself that will release a little bit of the stress and maybe just let you like feel better about how who you are, and you know, in general in life. So
Yeah, I think that's cool because usually, there's so many tarot decks coming out right now. I don't think anybody needs another magician. Means, I don't know, self-control and directing and like, of course you can put like some keywords, but I think what most people are looking for in interesting tarot like companion books is something extra, something that the creator brings into the table, like your perspective or your journey or your ideas of how to. And usually it's lovely to see also, the symbols that you used, or why did you pick or depict that arcana or that minor or major arcana in that way, because sometimes it's very obvious for the creator but not so obvious for the person who looks at it, and
yeah,
just go like, but how come this means, like, so it would be lovely to have that kind of background of
yeah,
something, like, why, how did you see it, why did you do it this way. I
yeah.
think that's always a good way, but I think that's a great idea for a companion book, not to focus solely on the technicality of tarot.
Yeah, exactly. I think if someone is starting, these are not the best, probably not the best cards to start with, because they are not the classical tarot. Um, so this is more like for someone who maybe is not planning to build a career on, you know, doing readings, but just does it for themselves, and or is also already experienced enough to like know the meanings enough to feel comfortable with this cards. And but also maybe, you know, some tips are always helpful, because we you know, especially in this like society right now, we live very speedy life. with a lot of stress, with a lot of pressure of like make a family, earn money, build a house and everything, and like you don't have time, do it now. So I just want to also remind us that the time is the best thing that we have, and it's good to sometimes just do something for yourself, not necessarily to please others or to, unless this is what you like to do, then go for it. But
Yeah.
if you need to take a break, it's fine, and nobody's should judge you, and if they do, then maybe they have some issues. It's not.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of women and men go right now back to this, like I'm actually like the more natural time, and the nature also teaches you, like even now looking outside, the snow and winter and everything is kind of dead. There's a lot of reminders in the natural cycle of when to rest, and there's like a lot, a big amount of people who are propagating that sacred pause and taking a rest and going more via the natural cycle of time, just at least to remind ourselves about it. You don't have to maybe necessarily follow it always and get stressed out now about following the natural cycle. Like rather like just acknowledging it and seeing that there is times when it's easier to rest, it's easier to like you in tune with those big cycles. So I think it's a really good thing to just be mindful of, really, and practice. And even small things, like you said, and that's really helpful to just get a little bit more in tune with ourselves and get back to our bodies, and actually don't get so externally focused all the time, because it's so easy with social media and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Social media, I don't think it makes it easier, to stop comparing yourself or to have like higher self-esteem. So yeah.
That's what life is about, right? We're going back to ourselves all the time, to the end, to the day that we die. And I guess it gets easier with age. Like I'm 45 now, and I really feel a big difference, even compared to my 30s. Even the 30s were amazing. I love my 30s, but it was so much more of that back and forth. Who am I, and who is, like, how am I against that backdrop of everything else and everybody else and so on. So in 40s it's a little bit different. It comes more from here, and like, how does this backdrop fit fits me? It's like it seems like the perspectives have changed, which I kind of like, really.
Yeah, I feel like actually for me, after creating this tarot, I like have some kind of distance now. Like I can see things from distance. I'm definitely way less insecure than I was a few years ago. It's still a process, and I'm not fully, happy about myself, but I guess, this is how it's gonna be. Now I'm pregnant, my body is changing a lot. So what I was okay with now is just becoming a total mess. And but I'm learning to, love my new stretch marks and, all of that. I feel like it can really, it does change with time. It's also good to think about, okay, how am I going to feel about this in 2 years or in 2 months? Are you going to even remember what you were stressed about at that moment? Probably not. In rare occasions, yes. And of course, then it's, important to also maybe focus on the problem and just, to accept it, or, a lot of bad stuff is happening right now. So obviously we all need a little bit of, like help, I guess, to deal with this. But I think like when the things are not important, it's good to know when they are not, and they are usually not as important as we imagine at this little moment. So it's good to always think like, okay, does it really matter for me in a month? Obviously, it's not good to like not care about anything, but it's just
or
to
like
have this
putting
distance
under the carpet. It's not. I know what you're talking about, of course. It's I think it's life, right? And we just will never be perfect. So I stopped expecting perfection from myself a long time ago. I'm loving my quirky sides, or the ones that, you know, the rough edges that don't fit in. Sometimes I'm like annoyed, like I would want to chop that thing off, you know, if I could, but of course I know I can't. And you know, at some point that kind of working on ourselves and then constant perfectionizing ourselves, it also can get you away from yourself, truly, because that you constantly somehow somewhere different that where you are, who you truly are. So best is always to just stop for a minute, get a little bit more distance, but actually like connect. And I think the body always plays a really important role, and that's why I think anything to do with body awareness and bringing body back into that picture is important, because that's what anchors us. That's what kind of gives us those roots, when you know really what is good for you, because you know how that feels for you in the moment, right? And it's a deep story with the body. I think there's more and more body awareness coming into the picture from the right perspective, not from that glamorized perspective, but just natural.
And I did get feedback from people just saying that, oh my God, thank you for doing it like, you know, normal person, not someone who doesn't exist and who you look at and like, oh man, like I did some illustrations with yoga, girls doing yoga, and I'm back. Sorry. So I did a few illustrations with yoga, and it's also the same type of girl doing yoga. You know, not fully, you know, I was trying to do yoga, and I'm not really able to stretch fully and stuff. I think I'm gone.
No, you here?
Yeah, because you stopped moving, so I didn't know if I'm still there.
Mesmerized. I'm waiting. No, you here? Like, you've done some yoga. You're not made to stretch.
Definitely not made to stretch, but you know, it's also, I think, good to maybe, you know, not always, you know, see this ideal that doesn't exist, you know, like it's just good to feel like, okay, I'm not the only one, someone else can feel the same way, and this is normal, and this is good. There's nothing bad in being, you know, different or looking not the way that, you know, all the magazines and stuff are like telling us to look, because
and
there is beauty in diversity. This is what's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
How boring would it be if we were all like the same model and just, you know, perfect? It would be just sad, I think.
Yeah, plus we know how much, even, you know, that what we see in the magazines, it's so not true also for the girls who are actually on the pictures, because it's so edited and photoshopped. And that's why I'm always thinking of this invisible norms, and they not only around, you know, body, they around relationships, around sex, around money, around anything. There's all these invisible norms. When you start challenge them and think about them and go like, why am I striving to achieve something? Like, who made that up? Like, it seriously made me realize so much, especially, you know, like I'm a professional reader, right? So I have a lot of clients who usually have something to, you know, share, right? And like you hear those repetitive stories that also are part of your life, and you really keep wondering, like, why are we striving to achieve something that like nobody seems to have? Everybody seems to think we should have it, but why should we if nobody really? So it just really makes me wonder. It's like baffles me often, and it often comes with relationships, with sex, with body, with money, what is truly important. And I think 2020 was amazing in this way, that kind of it really faced a lot of people, or most of us, with, you know, what is really important in your life when everything is kind of taken away from you in a sense. Like, where do you hang in for? Like, who gives you joy? What gives you joy? You know, who are important people in your lives? Whom do you want to see, or you don't care at all if you see them or not?
Yeah, and I think we were kind of also forced to spend time with ourselves because of the lockdowns. And then if you don't like yourself, it's hard. And you know,
make a tarot deck.
Exactly. You know,
Do
78
something
cards,
creative.
it's doable.
Do something creative. No, but I think this is really beautiful behind this tarot deck, and I'm so glad to hear that it's finished, because often people, you know, are a bit afraid of Kickstarters if like they don't know who makes the Kickstarter, and there's like few cards made and then the rest has to be made, which is also fair enough, because sometimes people just don't have time to finish everything if they don't have money and they have to work and so on.
Exactly.
But I'm glad to see that your deck is finished, and basically it's back to printing and finishing the book, and then it's ready to go. So I'm really excited about it. And again, just ask everyone to just go and check the Kickstarter campaign. If this is something for you, back it. If not, just send your blessings so the project can, you know, go off and pick up. And so we have the Polish tarot deck out on the market. And I'm going to finish this interview with a little pull from well, there will be two pools. One will be for you to answer, and one will be just for you as a goodbye advice. And this is from the Strangers Edition by the Skin Deep project. This is like a card game, and they creating a emotional database between humans. So they making different videos of human connection, and just kind of connect people from different backgrounds, different countries, different social backgrounds, and so on. So
Okay.
I've picked like just a few cards. I'm going to pick one for you, and hopefully you can grace us with the answer.
Yeah,
Really?
hopefully I have the answer.
Hopefully you have the answer. If you don't, you can just say, I don't want to talk about it. It's fine.
Okay.
All right. So, ooh. So this is, that's how they look. And the question says, what's a personality trait you wish you had more of, and why?
I think I tend to be a little bit too nice, and I wish I was a little bit more assertive, because people use it, unfortunately. I think it's always good to start being nice, but at some point when you're dealing with, well, let's call it bullshit, it's good to be able to just step back and say, okay, no, I'm not gonna deal with this. And also on the process of creating the tarot deck, you know, dealing with different people, because obviously the production of it doesn't depend fully on me. Obviously, I would love to, you know, have a printing studio and do it myself, because I like to do stuff myself. I'm the DIY girl. But at some point, you will encounter, you know, people that will bullshit you, and just, you know, I don't have the courage to be unpleasant to people, and I'm always, you know, I'm gonna smile, I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna leave it myself, and not, you know, give the like information to this person, okay, what you're doing is not cool, don't do this. And I think this is something that I'm missing a little bit. I'm too nice.
And I think it's also in some way collective for a lot of women. You know, I'm pretty outspoken, and I'm still dealing with this too.
I think
There are situations when I'm like it's so hard not to be like that niceness, you know. It's like that's how we were brought up, also be a nice girl. And
I think I'm getting better at this, but not when it is about me. So when I can hear someone like, you know, being a dick or saying some bullshit about someone else, I'm gonna step in and I'm gonna say, okay, no, I'm not gonna take this. This is tragic what you're doing. And I had some situations where I was really surprised with myself, because I was really very shy at some point. And when you know, in Poland, you encounter people from different, let's say, mindsets. And I had unpleasant experience with some racists that were just talking about some stuff. And it was so cruel what they were saying, and so awful. And they were, you know, not ashamed of thinking that. And for me, this was just painful, because you know, I was living abroad, and my husband is French, and, you know, I have friends from like all over the world. And hearing that was just like impossible. I was just feeling like I'm in some kind of weird
Yeah.
I don't know, fake situation that is like in the movies or something, but doesn't really happen in real life. And I did reply to them with very emotional response, and I just, it was just so, I was like caught off guard. But at least I did reply, and I didn't let it go, because some people would be just like, yeah, I don't know what to say, I feel embarrassed, but but this was not directly at me,
Yeah.
but when it happens that someone is like this with me, then I just take it in, and I have to digest it. But when it's about someone else, I will defend the
It's
the
interesting,
person.
hey, how it often
Yeah.
happens that there's
Mm.
this discrepancy, how much we can do for other people, or there's this saying always, like, give yourself advice as if you would give it to your best friend. It's so hard when it
Yeah.
comes to ourselves somehow. I
Yeah.
don't know why it is, but it is always
It's
harder.
true.
And even you can show this courage, and you can show healthy boundaries and kind of this care for somebody else, but yeah, it's somehow always more
Yeah, it's
difficult.
harder for myself somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. You answered our question. So now the last pool of the interview, one for you. This is from the Veronica Jude's deck. I don't know even if it has a name. I just love the box. It says "Don't panic." So,
Perfect for me.
Hania, for you, something not to panic. Let's see what comes up. She basically just picked different sayings for each of the tarot cards. So it's more like an oracle, really. Sometimes you don't even know what tarot card it is. You have to really think. So let's treat it as an oracle. And it says, the truth that shattered my illusion also set me free. The truth that shattered my illusion also set me free. And I guess sometimes it's just better to know something than not to know it, right?
I definitely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the message for you.
Thanks.
Well, on this note, we are going to wrap up. Thank you so much for showing up and for creating the deck and for doing all this while you're pregnant. Wow.
Yeah.
Really
Multitasking.
amazing.
Woo!
I know, really amazing. And you have like nearly 2 months to go for the baby, right?
Yeah. 2
So
months.
fingers crossed. We wish you all, I'm sure whoever watches it, we all send you like positive vibes and have a beautiful birth experience. And welcome to the new baby when it comes. And yeah, thanks for creating the deck, for bringing some of this into the awareness, for being Polish.
You're welcome to that.
Yeah, and yeah, wish you all the best, Hania, and we'll be in touch. So I hope the deck will be printed and beautiful, and we'll show it around further. So good luck with the book writing right now, and all the best, Hania. So
Thank you. And thank you for the interview. It was lovely.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.